Hey Cain Crew, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a plan with me video. I'm going to run through all the things that I do to effectively plan lessons before teaching them. I'm going to go over what templates I use, how detailed I get, and so much more. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the video. Okay, so tip number 1 is to organize all standards and lessons you plan to cover in the month. So for me, I use this monthly template. It's almost like a month at a glance, and I go through week by week to put in the things that we're going to cover. Here I'm going to do my March 2020 plans, but you'll see that that is the last week of February that I'm starting with, and it also goes all the way into the first week of April. So about 5 weeks of planning, but not like detailed planning, but just to show me the things that I need to or want to cover in the month, and I find that this keeps me on track. You're like a movie, seductive like a spell. You're trying your feelings and calling up for air. I see through you, baby. I saw it from the side. You got your baggage bruising everywhere you go and everyone you love. I know it seems like I'm the one to lose. I might be crying, but baby, so will you. You tell them stories from one point of view. You say that I'm the one who messed it up too. So upon completion of this, I like to make sure that everything is color coded and I have everything in there. Then I print this out and I actually post this on our focus board in my classroom. I find that this also helps students to stay focused, and it gets them in the right mindset because they can look at the month in a glance and see what we're covering. It also helps students who may be absent because they can go back and say, oh, I don't know, or I didn't get what I needed for focal passage 1, or I missed this day where we did focal passage 2. So it helps us both stay organized. Comment down below if you would like to see a video of certain structures and routines I keep in my classroom to make sure that I'm staying on top of my students. Moving on to tip number 2. Use a detailed lesson plan template when organizing the lesson for the day. So I created my own, and it looks just like this here. It is usually 2 pages. I try to keep it to 1 if possible, but it starts with the date, and then it goes into what text I'll be using for the day, then my overall instructional focus, and then it goes down to the unit assessment I'll be using, what sub-skills the students may need, my objective, my do now, then I go into the gradual release strategy, closing, homework, and then here is our essential practices, which is a district mandated tool, but we don't have to use these in our lesson plan. I just put mine in my lesson plan. Then you have how or where I differentiate it, and then also the resources and materials I use in the lesson. On to tip number 3, which is be as specific as possible when creating the daily plan. Relatability plus live interaction equals maximized engagement. So when I'm putting my lessons together, I like to make sure that I am including relatability so that my students can somehow connect this lesson to their lives or something in that manner. So you'll see me do this as I plan throughout this template. I like to be very specific with this template, meaning putting in my standards, Parker line writing prompt, letting all of these things be known. Sometimes I'll even put in questions and what I propose a student, how a student will answer the question. I put all of these things into my lesson plan because I find that this lesson plan is almost like the script for the day. So if I get off topic, I can always refer back to my lesson plan to get me back on course. Also, I do this because a lot of the times you may have people come in to observe you, and I like to make sure that they are following the lesson and they get what I'm doing no matter when they come into the classroom environment.
Look at the storm within your broken bones and be wild, 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 wild.
Okay, so as I wrap this up, I also print this out, and this also goes on my focus board, but I also have a master copy to keep in my hand as I'm teaching. I like to keep it around because, again, it keeps me on track. I keep about 2 to 3 copies on the focus board because if someone comes in, I want them to be able to have a copy. Tip 4, create a student handout, 1-pager if possible, to correspond with the lesson for the day. So for me, I like to create a 1-page paper because I teach 125 students. You'll see here that I actually changed the do now from what was on my lesson plans to be more relevant to the lesson for the day. I found that this one was more interactive and more relevant. So yes, I create this 1-pager because I teach 125 students a day. So a lot of paper is just a no for me. If it goes into 2 pages, it's front and back, but I try to keep everything to 1 page to minimize paper usage. You'll see here that the independent practice says C folder for their writing assignment. So they actually have 2 pages, but that paper stays in their writing folder. I already individually put them in their writing folders and they'll just get to that when they need to. So on this 1 page, I put everything that they'll possibly need for the day to complete their lesson, and they get their grade based off of anything on this 1 page. And as I mentioned, this particular day they had 2 papers, and this is the paper that was already in their writing folder. So what it has is the chart that we use to deconstruct our writing prompt. It also has the actual writing prompt on there. As we go down, you'll see the teacher exemplar. I love to do a teacher exemplar so that students can understand what I'm looking for, and then it actually has a space for them to actually draft their prompt. I would love to have all of this digital, which I will next year, because we will actually be a one-to-one school where I can just upload all of this into our Microsoft Teams app, and they can have it digitally. So this is what the other writing assignment looked like within their folders. Speaking of tech, my 5th tip is to create Google Slides or PowerPoint to correspond with the lesson for the day. So for me, I just chose one of the ones that are already designed. Usually I will create my own, make it really, really custom, but for this week I decided to just go with this one. I thought it was pretty cute. So I just wanted to share this really cool and quick interaction that I found my students really took to. It was simple as getting some Skittles, having them pick a color, and then they would find the person with the same color and then share their do now response out with that person. really quick activity, but really engage the students.
The memory of you just come running by.
So here is the guided practice that we did for the day, where we read each one of these focal passages within our anchor text, and we pulled out the evidence that showed or we could have possibly made an inference about one of the characters. Once we did that, they worked together in groups to come up with what type of character traits those evidence displayed. They did that together, and then once they went from there, they were ready to be released onto their own to go ahead and complete their own writing using the racist strategy. We used the racist strategy in our building. It's a norm in our department. So I went and did a quick review of that, and then we analyzed the teacher exemplar together.
I'm not broken, I'm just
That sums up what my PowerPoint will look like for the day. I decided to include the next day, just a snippet to show you how I like to start the next day. I like to start with a recap. This helps students realize how much effort they applied and if they completed everything. And it also helps those students who may have been absent see what we did yesterday and how they need to catch up. Okay, crew, that sums up my video for the day. Please make sure that you subscribe and follow me on all social media platforms as you see here. If you like videos like that, please check out my other content, as well as smash that like button and comment down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.